action.
All right, here's a 2-inch, 150-pound ANSI mag meter, electromagnetic flow meter, for short mag meter. Has a Teflon liner, and inside, if I turn it just right, you'll see 3 little electrodes in there. Those electrodes are what are used to sense the fluid velocity in electromagnetic lines of flux that are created. We create Lenz's law, or Michael Faraday, however you want to call it. We create a magnetic field. The fluid that's conductive goes past these electrodes. The electrodes measure the current. The current tells you what the velocity is. We know the diameter, Q equals AV. We give you the flow rate in gallons per minute. And we just have a little...
I'm just going to back up there. Charged particles moving in a magnetic field creates a charge.
Yes. So back EMF, when you were in science class and they took aluminum and ran it through past a magnet, the aluminum would slow down. So the lines of magnetic flux going through the aluminum, creating back EMF to oppose the flow or oppose the motion. Same thing with how the Tesla brakes with active, or using back EMF to charge the batteries. So this is also used in scales to damp the movement of the arm, so that when it's still, there is no influence with the magnet. So this one, what we have, just to demonstrate really, really, really low flows that these can do, we just got a bucket of water and a little tiny fish pump that pumps water, this small amount of water. And so this flow meter is just in a bucket. You can see there's no nothing in there. So now I'll direct that little flow inside the flow meter, 0.062 meters per second, 0.081. This meter is speaking in meters per second, the native tongue, if you will, of a electromagnetic flow meter that we then turn to gallons or barrels or whatever.
And that looks like a big meter for not a lot of flow.
Yeah,
so these are pretty sensitive.
Yeah, they're super sensitive. And this one even has, you can set the low flow cutoff, which still is in there. So it can go lower than this, but they're just really magical machines. These are just like a dream flow meter. They just crazy work. You could shoot a 45 at them. They will still work. And they could run from sewer water to not deionized water, because deionized water has no conductivity to it. So the water has to be conductive, which clean water is.
So essentially, if you have a liquid with a charge, you want to use the Meg flow meter. That's a good rule of thumb.
This thing can measure cement, the flow rate of cement.
So, basically anything.
Yeah, and it's a common method of using flow rates of cements when they're pumping caissons deep into buildings to create a new foundation. They need to know how many gallons of cement they're putting in, and so there's nothing inside. So it's just an amazing machine.
It's pretty simple and nothing can go wrong, essentially, because it's pretty simple.
Yeah, they're very, very robust.
Now, where would we get errors in a Meg flow meter? What are the things that we have to worry about?
The most common is they don't run the flow meter with completely full. This needs to be at the low point, so it's always full inside of the pipe.
So if the pipe's half full,
yeah, it's measuring the velocity, but it was taught that the area was this, so it's not
this
smart enough.
calculation, our assumption that the cross-sectional volume is going to be different then,
Yeah,
and we're going to run into problems. So as long as we have a full pipe, we're good.
yeah.
Are there any other issues where we might go wrong, like temperature, or maybe there's jackhammer outside? Are there any other problems?
No, not much can hurt this. A VFD in close proximity get a little angry, but people usually don't do these. The worst thing folks do with these is they don't fill them up all the way, most common. Next one is they'll put it right next to an elbow and next to another elbow. It will be very repeatable, but not wonderfully accurate because the flow profile got disturbed.
So make sure that we have a straight pipe going in and out of it.
Yeah, just like all flow meters, they want 10 diameters up, 5 diameters down.
And temperature's not going to matter because the charge of an electron doesn't really change.
Nope.
If it heats up, cools down.
Yeah.
So it's just a really good all-purpose flow meter.
Yeah.
Essentially.
So,
Is there any reason not to use it? Like it's less expensive than a Coriolis. Is it the accuracy is not as good, or
these are 0.5% devices if you can characterize them well. But yes, they're cherry. They're stable. You know,
there's not a lot that can go wrong?
Yeah.
We'd make a longer video, but there's
that's it. Yeah.
Just get your flow meter calibrated and
Done.
you're off to the races.
Done deal.
What about choosing a size? What would happen if I wanted to save money and I used a flow meter that was too small?
Yeah, this doesn't like it. It can't go higher than, some whatever the range is. And the range, we write the range on the website. It's very, very clear.
So hypothetically, what if I don't believe you and I try to do that? Will I just get an inaccurate reading?
Yeah,
or?
it'll like what do you call it? Line out peg. It won't see anything after that. It just can't see that change in.
Got it. So if I tell you that it'll measure things from 1 to 100, and you try to measure something that's 110, speed limit doesn't go that high.
Yeah.
So it's just going to say 100.
Yeah, that's right.
So it really is. It's not like accuracies.
They're perfectly tuned for the pipes that are of the size. In other words, a bean counter would tell you, don't buy a 10-inch pipe for a flow that's only this low because I don't want you to waste money because pipe's expensive stuff. And when they choose whatever pipe they chose for whatever purpose they want to measure, 99% they're using the right size because just the plumbing and plumbing guides and the art of plumbing dictates what the size will be based on what the flow rate is. There's all kinds of engineering front end on the infrastructure that causes it to be right to begin with.
And then the last question is, it sounds like at the end of the day, the biggest problem is we're running it with a pipe that's not full. What's your suggestion to me if I tell you that, yeah, it's not a constant flow that's going through our pipes?
Yeah, it needs to be put in a low part, in a P-trap, if you will, or as the pipe's going up, put it here. This thing doesn't care what orientation it's in. So run the flow up so it's always full.
Got it. So you're telling me, who cares? Just make the pipe go down.
Yeah.
So there's always fluid in the pipe.
Yeah.
And then you can run it as low as you want.
Yeah.
Good to go. Now, is there any benefit of always choosing the smallest flow flow meter that we can, or is it just it's a little bit less expensive and that's
It's not the price difference isn't much. There are standards. ANSI flanges. It's just the way it is. Plumbing's so old, let's say, that it's really sophisticated and well developed, and it's not a problem.
Cool. Thanks, Dave.
All right.